Our project is Chapter 4, The Geography of Life. So biogeography is the study of the distribution of organisms across the planet. That's just the idea that plants and animals and organisms are found across the world. And then common descent is the idea that all organisms evolved from a single ancestor. That's just saying that humans and plants and ants alike have all come from one single organism. Organisms are distributed throughout the world in a few different ways. Plate tectonics is the movement of plates around the world over the course of millions of years. That is the idea of continental drift and how land masses have gotten to the places that they are now. Vicariance is a geological barrier that forces a population to split, preventing gene flow. And then that geological barrier, splitting it, causes two different species to arise from the one species that they were. Dispersal is active or passive movement of organisms from site of birth to a breeding site. That's also a population split, but by choice of the organisms, and that's just their way of finding new resources and inhabiting new land so that they can start populating that area. Plate movement is one of the major mechanisms that distributes organisms throughout the world. That's just saying that mammals, plants, and other organisms on the African plate will stay on the African plate, and Antarctic plate will stay on the Antarctic plate, and so forth. Land bridges are strips of land that connect two continents together, or two land masses together, and that will be more explained in further slides.
Gondwana was a supercontinent that was believed to be connected by most of the southern hemisphere. This would include Africa, South America, Antarctica, and etc. The distribution of the fossils that are found in these areas provides evidence that these landmasses were once together. For example, this organism was found in both South America and Africa, and this one is found in Africa, India, and Antarctica. Land bridges are strips of land that connects two separate landmasses together. This allows organisms to cross different landmasses to colonize new land before getting cut off by the sea. One famous example of a landmass is Panama, which connects both the Americas, located right there. The reason why many land bridges have disappeared over time is due to rising sea levels from melting glaciers. Vicariance and dispersal are both forms of allopatral speciation. Vicariance is when the population is split due to a physical barrier interrupting gene flow. Over time, this will result into separate species. Here at the top, you will see that the entire population of pine trees are all the same, but at the bottom, there was an event that caused the land to split. This resulted in two different species. This can be due to the fact that the soil may have changed, or maybe now they are getting different amount of sunlight. Dispersal is very similar to vicariance, however, there is no barrier. For example, seeds can be dispersed by animals, wind, or water. Animals can eat fruits, and the seeds will grow wherever the animal chooses to defecate, or seeds will be carried away by wind or downstream by a river. Whichever method, the seeds will be introduced to a new environment and may result into a new species.
Now let's talk about the range of species. Organisms can either be endemic or disjunct. An endemic species is a species population that inhabits only one region. An example of an endemic species would be the platypus, located in Australia. There are many reasons why species like the platypus are endemic. One reason that a species might be endemic is because it can no longer fulfill an ecological niche in any other region besides the one that it currently resides in. Other organisms might also outcompete the endemic species in other regions. So even if the platypus could survive in a different environment, it would get outcompeted by a bigger, badder bully species that would outcompete it for resources. Now, a disjunct species is a population that inhabits several regions across the globe. Our example of this would be the Argentine ant. As you can see here in the graph, this is where the Argentine ant originated from. This was its endemic region, its native range. However, it was introduced to other parts of the world, and it was able to inhabit them and outcompete other organisms for resources, spreading it all across the globe, where it could then reside and thrive. Alright, now we're going to talk about islands. This is going to be fun. There are two types of islands. There's going to be oceanic islands and continental islands. Oceanic islands are normally formed through volcanism, and they don't normally support reptiles, amphibians, mammals, or freshwater fish. Oceanic islands, like the Galapagos Islands, support mainly birds and insects. These are going to be the organisms who can travel thousands of miles away from the mainland to get to these oceanic islands in the middle of nowhere. They normally have no competition for resources and end up thriving if they can survive in the environment. However, variations of these organisms, such as these finches here, will have different kinds of beaks for the different foods that they eat. So other kinds of organisms like reptiles, mammals, amphibians, and freshwater fish don't have the means to get to these oceanic islands that are thousands of miles away from any kind of mainland. So basically, it just needs to have wings or some sort of method of transportation to get all the way to their destination. These insects and birds can disperse from island to island, mingling with other populations of birds to create a better source of gene flow. Now, continental islands are going to be located near and geologically related to a continent. This means that it was either formed near or it was a piece that broke off of the mainland continent. These types of continental islands are going to have similar flora and fauna to the nearest mainland. A great example of a continental island is going to be Madagascar, which is off the coast of Africa. Madagascar is home to ringtail lemurs, a type of mammal that has no means of crossing a vast expanse of ocean to get to the island where it resides now. Fossils are great. They're wonderful. They tell us everything there is to know about physical evidence of evolution and the spread of organisms over different regions over time. We can find fossil evidence such as shark teeth in the eastern cliffs of South America and find those same shark teeth in regions of Western Africa, showing that it was once connected at one point. Fossil evidence just plays such a huge role in the distribution of organisms over time. It shows where they've been, what kinds of food they might have eaten. Even more importantly, it shows that organisms had transitional features like the tiktaalik, which allowed them to disperse from water to land. Alternatively, the Puigila was one of the ancestors that allowed mammals to swim back into the water and discover new niches that they could fulfill. Fossils help show the diversity of animals and the adaptations they have acquired to disperse across the world and create the biogeography that we see today. These adaptations are not just seen in animals. We also see them in flowers and plants that have seeds that can disperse. All of these adaptations combined with the plate tectonic movement and geologic or climate changes helps progress the spread of all types of organisms throughout the entire world. Thanks for listening, and I hope we helped you learn something today.